Back in 1979, I just returned from the UK after completing my education and started work in Malaysia. And the human resources manager there was a side devotee. So we met, and he didn't say anything about it. We had the interview, and then he suggested one day he came to me and he said, "What are you doing this weekend?" I said, nothing special. He said, "Why don't you come? We're having a retreat, And I didn't know what this retreat was. Anyway, I went with him. He took me out to some faraway place. It was in Virgin Jungle, actually. And we went there, and I saw a lot of these people there, and there's a huge photo of Sai Baba. And I looked at it and I said, okay, just going back a little bit, when I was a baby, I had a huge mob of hair, and I still got that photograph. And my mother used to say, "Your hair looks like Sai Baba." I didn't know who Sai Baba was at that time even, So anyway,
which year?
This was 1954 when I was born. And so I didn't take that too seriously, and I didn't know who Sai Baba was, never heard of him after that, until this incident in 79 where I was taken to this place. And I looked
Which forest you said it is?
It is in Malaysia. It is way up north from Kuala Lumpur. This guy took me up there. And it was a very uplifting weekend. When I saw the people there, very, very loving, a lot of love there, a lot of spirit. I thought there must be something about these people, So I said, okay, let's go. And then he used to tell me, look, if you like it, why don't you come with me for bhajans? I go for bhajans every Thursday, So I went there, and they were singing songs and all this sort of thing, and I had no idea what these songs were. So I said, okay, anyway, it was nice. The music was very good, and I carried on. When I first went for this camp or the retreat, and I came back, and I was very quiet about the whole thing, and eventually when I started going for bhajans, and this bhajan, Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, really attracted me. And I used to keep singing this, so much so my sister used to start singing as well, And I thought, there must be something in this, for them to all get attracted to this. So we continued, and then this same gentleman, the HR manager who took me to this place and all that, took me for bhajans, and before going to Australia, he came to me and he said, are you free this weekend? I said, yeah. Why? He said, can you come with me? There's a gentleman coming from India, and he's on his way to Australia, and can you meet him? And I said, yeah, I have no problems. I can meet. I was a bachelor at that time, anything goes, no problem. So I said, okay. And I met, and it was actually Howard Murford. Yeah. And he was my inspiration, actually, really. And so the day before I was going to go to the airport, that time is the old airport in Malaysia, in Subang, I had a vision of a man that I was going to see the next day, who had a bald head, Anglo-Saxon Australian, a bald head. And I didn't pay much attention. I've never seen Howard before. I didn't know who he was, So the next day when I went to the airport, and I met Howard and his wife Iris, and got talking. And then what he did was, he always wears a beret, Howard. He took his beret off, and that was the bald-headed man I saw in that dream, So it was like somebody telling me, I'll be sending somebody, you meet that man first, So I met him, and after that, we put him up in, because he was writing his third book called The Invitation to Glory, and he wanted a nice, cool place to do that, so we put him up in a place called Genting Highlands, in Malaysia. Nice, cool, like our Ooty Hills, So he put him up there. And so every evening, after work, there were three of us from the same company. We used to go up the hills, enjoy dinner with them, sit at Howard's feet, and he used to tell us stories about Swami, what he did and all that. That really got me inspired on what he was telling me. Here is a man, and I asked Howard, what made you go to India to find this? He said, that's a very long story, but if you read my book, The Man of Miracles, you will see what I've. So he gave me the book, and I read the book. Eventually, in 1981, I was going to migrate to Australia, and my mother said, I've made a vow for you, and that is, we have to go to Sabrimala to fulfill a vow before you go. So you must take me to Sabrimala. So I said, okay. I took her to Sabrimala, and I thought, I'm going to India. Why don't I go to Puttaparthi? So that was the first thing. I went to Bangalore, and then took a bus and went to Puttaparthi. My mother said, I can't travel and all that. So I left her with some friends in Puttaparthi, went to Bangalore, and I saw Swami for the first time in person. Came back, and I went to Malaysia. Nothing. I didn't feel anything, or Swami didn't call me or anything. I had his darshan, that was it, went. So after that, like I say, in my case, it was not dreams or callings or it's a calling, but it is not something that was physical, you know. And I carried on. And then we went on for a while, and I noticed that as I was going along, every time I said Sai Ram, whatever situation I was in was actually being either allayed, a fear was allayed, or a situation was made right for me, you know. If I was rushing for a meeting somewhere, somehow the meeting got delayed and they were waiting, I was in time for the meeting, that sort of thing. And then one day I was going for a meeting in a place which was really totally unknown to me. And I met this gentleman, and normally he was in a rush as well. And I said, look, I can't find this. This is the days before GPS and smartphones and all that, you know. And he said, look, let me find out where this is. He rang a few of his friends around, and he came back to me and he says, I think I know where it is. I'd love to take you with me, but I tell you what I'll do. He took one of his business cards and he drew a map for me. This is how you go, this is turn and all that. He was so extremely kind, and he tells me, if you get lost, come back here. That is my office up there, but I'm meeting there. But you come back here and I'll take you, you know, after my meeting. And I thought, you know, this is wonderful, you know. I mean, I've never experienced this kind of love from anyone before that. And I thought, and he's a total stranger, not someone I've known before. So anyway, I continued, and then I moved to Australia. And there, Swami's got a unique way of saying that you don't run away from the organization, you know. You are here, I'll make you continue, you know. I went there, and there was a Sai Center. I bumped into a chap, and he said, do you know anything about Sai Baba? I asked him. And he said, yes, I got a friend of mine. He said, come over to my place for dinner tomorrow, and I'll introduce you. I met him, and he told me where the Sai Center was. I went there. And to cut a long story short, after about 4 years or so, I became the president of the center. They made me president, and I was wondering, you know, Swami, what on earth am I supposed to do here?